Hi, loves. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in about this really important topic. Money. We have to use it if we're going to live in this society. And it can be so confusing. Once we get on the spiritual path and we start to expand our minds into different ways of viewing money, and there's so many different conflicting opinions and theories out there. And you found this video today for a reason. You were drawn here for a reason, to get a different point of view. For myself, money has been the source of confusion and frustration, and most recently, joy and understanding and peace. And I just want to jump on here with y'all and share with you what I've learned in my journey. This is a channel message. I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. I am just here to deliver this message from my guides for you. Okay, so sometimes in the journey, we have a low bank account. There's not a lot of money coming in. And this is literally one of the most frustrating things in life, because we're giving to the world, and we're healing ourselves. We're using our time to meditate and go within. And we still seem to be broke. We still seem to be on the edge. And this is such a confusing place to be. It's like, hey, universe, why aren't you reciprocating? You know, I'm doing all this good work in the world. I'm a good person. I'm remembering my soul mission. I'm taking this life seriously. I'm being a kind person. I'm healing my karma. I'm doing all the right things. And, you know, what's going on? And maybe you're one of those people who have studied in depth different manifestation tools, techniques, theories, and you have searched within and you have healed the parts of you that feel unworthy to receive, and still no money is coming in, or very little money is coming in. And you're just like, why? Why is this happening? This makes no sense whatsoever. Oh, it's such a frustrating place to be in. I know, I've been there so many times. But there's a higher way of viewing what's happening to you, my friends. There's a higher perspective, and I'm here to share that with you today. When we are forced to go deeply within situations, it can be our highest blessing. What do I mean by that? So when we are in situations that we can't buy ourselves quickly out of, because we don't have the money in our bank account to make that happen, we are given the most priceless gifts in the world. And I'll give you an example of this. So let's say that you, for years, have been working with a friend of yours, and let's say you do an energy exchange. Let's say you give them Tai Chi lessons, and in exchange, your friend babysits your kids. Let's say you have that worked out. And then you get in a disagreement with your friend, some sort of conflict, hurt feelings, and such. If you had a ton of money in your bank account, you might easily say, well, screw this friend. I don't have to talk to them anymore. And I'll just hire someone to babysit my kids, right? So we throw money at the problem. right? We're just like, whatever, I'll just go on a website, find, sitters.com. I don't even know if that's a thing, but you know what I mean? Like we go online and we're like, okay, I'll find someone and I'll pay them, right? I'll pay for what I used to get as an exchange. But what if the universe was calling us into deeper commitment to working on our communication skills, right? And what if the universe was helping us to mend past life karma with that friend that we're disagreeing with? But if we have tons of money, we might be tempted to bypass that healing and that learning growth opportunity and just pushing that friend aside, blocking that friend out, giving up quickly on the relationship. And maybe that's a relationship that we've built for years and years, but the conflict just seems so huge and so big. We're just like, whatever, I'm not going to deal with it. And we get kind of lazy about the spiritual journey, lazy about our healing and our growth. And then we just throw money at the problem. We're just like, whatever, I'll just hire somebody, just whatever. And that kind of thing happens all the time this is something I've observed, that people with a ton of money, they have a lot of options. Or, well, at least it seems so to the mind. It seems so to the ego. I have so many options, right? So if their car breaks down, they don't ever have to think about learning about car mechanics or how to take care of their vehicle better. They're just like, whatever, I'll just have someone fix it. Or let's say we're in a situation where we're living with someone, a roommate, a friend, a spouse, and then again, we have some sort of conflict. If we have tons of money in our bank account, we can just split real quick. We can go get an Airbnb for a couple weeks. We can leisurely figure out, okay, what am I going to do? But we can quickly change, right? We can change our situation seemingly on a dime and just remove ourselves from what seems to be an overwhelming or scary or uncomfortable situation. But what if Spirit was saying to you, it's time to sink into the discomfort and work stuff out and see, instead of immediately changing the situation, diving into where the growth is, which sometimes is about staying where we're at for a period of time, days, weeks, months, maybe even years sometimes, to gain spiritual wisdom. But if we got a lot of money at our disposal, we're just like, whatever, I'll just change this real fast and just get out of the situation and throw money at the problem. I am so grateful to the teacher, Charles Eisenstein. If you guys haven't checked him out, wow, life, like game changer. Charles Eisenstein, author of the book Sacred Economics. He's got a YouTube channel. Highly recommend Eisenstein. You can just Google or YouTube the term sacred economics and you will find him. And he was the first one who helped me to understand that money isn't as simple as doing a manifestation spell or ritual and working on our self-esteem and worthiness. It's actually much more beautiful than that. Because there's a lot of healers that I know, a lot of gifted intuitives, psychics, men, women, people of God who radiate the light, who do not have a lot of cash flowing into their lives. And in fact, some of them even have renounced money altogether and lead perfectly wonderful lives. You know, one such enlightened being that I'll name specifically is Robin Greenfield. Robin Greenfield, he's a YouTuber as well. You know, he has done all these beautiful experiments where he's lived without money for periods of time. One experiment he did last year, he lived in a park for a couple weeks, and he gave away every single one of his possessions, like everything he owned, down to the clothes on his body. And he was just sitting in a park for like 10 minutes before someone lent him a shirt to wear because he was completely naked. But the point I'm trying to make is that this being is very highly aware and awakened. And he chooses to dance with money in ways that spirit guide him. So what I'm trying to say is it's not always about changing your situation quickly. Okay. So for me, I can tell you that there's been times in my life when I have been on the edge, right? So let's say that I have a session with someone that I need to do on a Tuesday, and on a Monday, my laptop completely crashes. Okay. And I have no money in my bank account to get it fixed or to get a new one. Right. And then a friend will come by and visit with me in the afternoon, and they will just ask me how I'm doing. I say, well, I got to figure out this laptop thing. And they're like, hey, do you want to borrow my laptop for a couple days? Or sometimes I will need major car repairs, and then that day a friend will just give me money because of the work that I do. People love the work that I do and they want to give back, so they give me donations. And it's exactly the amount that I need for my car repair. My friends, this has happened to me more times than you could ever imagine. It's happened so many times that I'm not so surprised by it anymore, although it always is a humbling experience and moment. But it's become routine in a way. So we are taught on the spiritual journey many times these not very advanced beliefs, philosophies, and techniques of if money isn't coming in, if you're not receiving enough money, if you perceive that you're in a lack or you're not receiving enough financial resources, it must be because you don't believe in yourself and you don't love yourself enough, and you got to work on your worthiness, and you got to say your affirmations, and you got to make vision boards, and you got to do all these techniques. But you know what? That's all well and good. And I've done those things. And sometimes I do those things because sometimes I do realize, oh, there's this little pocket of energy inside of myself that doesn't feel open to receiving right now. I'm just going to quickly knock that out as a little breathing technique. It'll take about 5 minutes, okay, I'm good now. I'm aligned, right? All that stuff isn't untrue. But that stuff is those ideas are so limiting, because the ultimate goal of any spiritual path, any and all, is surrendering to what is. And that is not a popular concept. It's not going to get me super high views on this video probably. Well, maybe it will. But this isn't like one of those thrilling spiritual concepts. It's like, so let me repeat it and let it sink in. The ultimate aim of any spiritual path, any spiritual tradition, is surrender. Surrender to what is. Because if we can make peace with what is, our vibration raises, our frequency raises. So if we make peace with what is, we radiate a new frequency, and then that automatically changes our exterior reality, and that may or may not include more money coming in. It depends on your karma, my friends. It depends on your own unique individual karma. You cannot say that for everyone we are all destined to be millionaires, It's frustrating when there is tarot readers out there, different intuitives, different spiritual teachers, and they promise everyone, we can all be millionaires. We can all be billionaires. That's not true. Because for some of us, our mission, one of our missions anyway, is to learn peace in the face of difficult situations. Now, I know you don't want to hear this. This is not what the ego wants to hear. But if you're still watching this video at 14 minutes in, there's something here that resonates with you. So going back to the example of, let's say that you have for years been, doing an energy exchange with your friend. You've been giving them lessons of some sort, and they've been babysitting your children. But then you get in disagreement. What if the best thing that could possibly happen in that moment is you're strapped for cash and you don't have anyone else, any other friends that you could think of to ask to babysit your kids, and you certainly can't hire anyone because you don't have the extra money? What do you do then? Well, then you have to work it out with your friend. You're literally forced to figure it out with your friend. And that's the blessing the universe is trying to give you. So in a weird way, sometimes we don't have money to help us. And that is the higher way to look at money and resources and finances. And yeah, there's some people out there in the world, it's their karma, it's their destiny to be wealthy, to have millions, billions of dollars. And some of those people, God bless them, they start schools, hospitals, they donate to charitable organizations, they support healers like myself. Right now I have a beautiful, very wealthy CEO who's sending me chunks of cash because he believes in what I'm doing. Thank you, sir. You know who you are, right? And that's that person's karma, but that's not necessarily my karma, right? And we're all like given this messaging of like, we all have to get rich. We all have to want to get rich. Some of us don't want that. And I can tell you from personal experience, you know, as a Pisces sun and moon, making money has never been a huge priority in my life. And people have criticized me for that. And yes, there were parts of my journey that were characterized by low self-worth, self-doubt, and that did impact, yes, it did in some ways block money from coming to me energetically. That is true. That is true. But the bigger truth is that from a young age, I saw the stupidity of the monetary system. I saw the silliness of it, the dumbness of it, how it's all structured right now, the capitalism, how it's structured right now. And it just seemed like a game I didn't give a shit about. I was like, wow, there's so many more important things than this, right? Because I realized money doesn't buy happiness. You know, and if you've been following Jim Carrey's journey, for example, Jim Carrey, one of the wealthiest actors in the world, reached the pinnacle of fame and then had his spiritual awakening and said, and this is like a paraphrase. He said, I hope everyone gets rich and famous so they can realize that that doesn't make you happy. Right? And I could sit here and teach you all these tools for manifesting money and wealth and And you know what? It wouldn't do a damn thing to teach you to be peaceful in this moment. And some of these tools and tricks, they'll say like, well, if you are peaceful in this moment, then money is more likely to come into your field. But that's still that tiny little thread of expectation and hope and clinging to the future, right? What if you could just surrender right now to being here with your life as it is? I can tell you, friends, I can make a list of things about my life that I don't prefer, that are happening to me right now. Things about my life, you know, that I'm like, these things, not my favorite, you know. Right now, I live in Toledo, not my favorite, but it's where God has guided me. And I just surrendered to that. You know, I have to get in a car and drive about 10 minutes to get to a park. Whereas in previous places I've lived, I've just stepped outside my door and nature has been abundant and right there. And I don't have to like drive anywhere, right? So, but I am making peace with my circumstances as they are. And I know that if God wants me to live more intertwined with Gaia, with nature, then that will happen. But for different karmic reasons, and some I'm aware of and some I'm not even aware of, because I don't know the bigger plan. This ego doesn't know all the intricate pieces of the puzzle of the universe. How could we know everything? We don't. And so I surrender to my life as it is now. So the higher, wiser, more spiritually advanced way of viewing money is, yes, it's a tool. And most of us need it if we're going to live in this society. Most of us. Some of us don't. Some of us are creating very unique ways of being. I was following this gentleman last year on social media who didn't live with money for like 10 years or something like that. And he found a little cave to live in. It was, I think, New Mexico, somewhere deserty and dry and warm, year round. And he found this little cave and he just lived in it. And then he would, like fish and hunt and receive, people would offer him food that he needed. And he was a spiritual teacher. He blogged and, they would give him cash gifts sometimes if he have to repair his camera that he would use for social media. But like, he didn't have a job. And that was such a beautiful expression. I got so much inspiration watching him. But anyway, most of us, we do need to have regular money coming in. But what if, if you feel like your bank balance is low right now and you feel like it's unfair and you're like, what spiritual gymnastics do I have to do to fix this? Like you feel almost tense because it's like, because on some level, money is energy. So you're like, what can I do to open up my channels to receive? And that is definitely a blessed and beautiful thing that you can do every now and then in little bits. And I do it too every now and then, For example, let's say that someone is going to give me a big donation and it takes my breath away. And I'm like, because there's a part of me that's like scared. I don't know how to steward that amount of money. Is the work I'm producing and giving to the world worth that amazing gift? Like, so it takes your breath away. It takes my breath away. And then I almost like stop breathing. And it's like I have this like block right here. It's like, right. And that goes back to childhood trauma, right? And not getting what I needed to feel safe when I was a kid. I know that. So when little moments like that come up, I'm like, okay, I'm going to breathe through it. And it's not really a big deal. But beside that, 98% of the time when I'm walking around, friends, living my life, my emphasis is not on money. How do I make money? How do I get money? How do I invest money? Yes, I do think about those things a little bit. There's some, student loans I'm paying off right now, and I'm taking some tips from a financial advisor who's a friend of mine. But really, most of my life force energy is not going to that silly game of capitalism. It's going to sharing with you all. I've been doing this since 2011 when I had my big awakening with Reiki. And everything else pales in comparison, Everything else pales in comparison. I just want to give. I just want to share. That's what makes me happy. And I've always had enough. I've always had enough money to do what I need to do. I love the definition of the word abundance that comes from the Bashar. Do you know Bashar? He is an interdimensional being channeled by Daryl Hannah. And Bashar says a great definition of the word abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Focus on the word need there. Not want, but need. So like, let's say that we need to get our car fixed so that we can travel to someone that we're guiding or helping on the journey. And the universe wants us to guide that person. So yeah, we have to get our car fixed. So we will have the money to do that. But maybe we don't need to do that. Maybe the universe is like, that's actually not a priority. So your car's going to sit there broken for a few weeks. I had a situation kind of earlier this year where I was grounded for a short period of time because I didn't have the money to get my car fixed. And it wasn't anything I was doing wrong in the universe. The universe wanted to ground me here in this home because I had important self-work to do. I had important self-healing to do. And my ego may have been a little frustrated, but that, looking back, that was literally such a blessing. So next time you feel scarcity feelings come up, fear, I don't have enough money, oh my gosh, I need more money, those feelings, right? I can't pay this bill. How am I going to pay this bill? ask yourself, if I had tons of money right now, what lessons would I not be learning? If I had tons of money at my disposal, what spiritual lessons might I be bypassing right now? Because I could just throw money at the problem and then zoom along, but not have the space to slow down and hear the messages that the universe is trying to deliver to me. So that is the higher perspective, the higher wisdom of looking at money in our lives. And I truly believe, friends, that within my lifetime, the current capitalistic system that we have will implode on itself. It's going to self-destruct. It cannot continue as it is, because we are literally depriving the earth of its resources so that we can create cash. We're pulling all the fish out of the sea so we can sell it for money. We're pulling all the sacred minerals out of the earth so we can sell it for money. We're chopping down the trees so we can create money out of that. Money, as we know it now, is not going to continue. And I do feel that's in my lifetime as we wake up to new earth, because we can't keep this unequal trade. We need to keep, our planet needs to continue to be abundant, healthy, right? And we can't keep extracting for money. It's just unsustainable. So better days are coming from humanity. But while we have the system in place, while we are all holding space for this capitalistic system, which is very, very old-fashioned, primitive, barbaric, stupid, while we're holding space for it as it dies, it is currently in hospice care, we're saying, okay, this is what we got right now. And I embrace all the lessons that are coming to me as a result of this current situation, having to deal with money. So that's what we do. We become wise and strong. And I'll end with this note. It's one thing to say the first Reiki precept, which is just for today, do not worry. It's easier to say that when we got a shit ton of money in the bank account, right? But for those of us who've experienced actually fulfilling the first Reiki precept and having periods of time in our life when we're genuinely not worried about money, but we also don't have a lot of money in our bank account, or maybe no money in our bank account, and we're able to pull that one off, holy crappy. Crappy. That's a funny word. Anyway, holy moly. That's amazing. And that, my friends, wow. You've become the Buddha at that point. You become the Christ at that point. Okay. So I hope your heart is feeling ease now. If you're still feeling like you want to talk about this issue more in depth, get more clarity, maybe this was like the first time you've heard something like this, a message like this, and you want to go deeper and you want to continue unraveling this fear that you have around money right now, please reach out to me. I offer private sessions, private coaching. Link is in the show notes below. Reach out to me. I'm here for you. We can meet one-on-one over Zoom or over the phone, and we can just chat, and I can help continue to guide you into more peace and clarity around your financial situation and how it all works together with the universe, and help you discover the hidden blessings that you have as a result of your unique financial situation. Whether you have a ton of money and you're afraid of losing it, or you don't have a lot of money and you want more and you're frustrated, wherever you're at, I'm there for you. Because I've lived this. I've lived this. And I want to share with you. Okay. Love you so much. See you guys in the next video very soon. I love you. Namaste.